I don't know what just happened. I don't know where I've been. I'm so fucking scared right now, and there's nothing I can do about it. I should have listened to you all. I think there's something in me, and I don't know if I can fix it. It wasn't the boys. The ones I went running out to meet, it wasn't them. I know that much, even if I don't know who the fuck it was. I went running out to see them, to see if it was Jim, fully intending to grab him and drag him inside and never let him go again. But when I got out there, whoever it was, they turned and started walking away. Only, I couldn't just let them wander off. I couldn't. They needed to come inside. It wasn't safe. That's what kept repeating in my head, like a compulsion. It's not safe. Save them. So I ran after them, only they were walking far too quickly for how dark it was under the trees. And that's the last thing I remember. Well, that's a lie. I remember plenty. I remember swimming. I remember that although I was under the water, it didn't feel cold, and I could breathe just fine. I could see just fine, and I was fast, so fast. I remember flying. I remember the creaking of my wings, the flutter of the wind through my feathers. I remember the way the muscles of my shoulders worked to keep me aloft, the way I could see the fall of every sparrow. I remember running. I was so fast and graceful, and although I was scared of a lot of things, I was still powerful. I ran with my family, and together we were strong. I remember being hungry. So hungry. This hunger beyond anything I've ever felt. Like my stomach was twisting in on itself. But then, when I ate, everything was 100 times more delicious than anything I've ever tasted before. I drank, and although it was only river water, I could have kept drinking forever, just for the taste of it. And I had desires, as if I hadn't been with someone for years. When I was with him, when I came, I bit at him like a wild thing, and when I drew blood, he only laughed. I don't know where I was. I don't know who it was that I was with. It's just a series of disjointed memories, all shuffled together. Pain and pleasure and sheer bloody freedom, all jumbled up so that none of it makes any sense now that I look at it, like a dream. It went on forever, and it lasted no time at all. The next real memory I have is of stepping over one of the stones in the circle around the cabin. It's like I dropped back into myself. Thump, there I was. I looked up, and Jim was sprinting towards me, yelling, and for a second, I pulled away from him. For a second, he was a stranger running at me, shouting incomprehensible nonsense, and I was ready to attack him, to defend myself. Then he got close enough for me to see his eyes, and it all clicked back in. He was asking me what had happened, what was wrong with me. I didn't know what he meant until I looked down, wondering why I suddenly felt so cold. Turns out I was stark naked, but so covered in blood, mud, and clumps of fur that it was hard to tell. Every inch of me hurt. I was covered in cuts, bruises, scrapes, bites. I'd torn whole strips of skin off in some places. In total, I was gone for 2 nights and a day. Jim carried me inside straight away, put me in a hot bath, and cleaned off what he could, fending off the others' questions. He got out the first aid kit he takes everywhere with him and patched me up as best he could. He said I was in a state of shock, which I found funny. He said that was part of the shock. He also told me what had happened to him, why he was so late coming back. The boys had all been up in a tree hide, drinking when they heard something. It sounded how he imagined a bear growling would sound, Jim said, and it was right below them, moving around. It never came in sight, so they couldn't try taking a shot at it. Instead, they just stayed up there all night, trying to stay quiet so as not to attract any undue attention. When they woke up, they found that Curtis had gone missing. No sign of him anywhere, no sign of a struggle. No one heard him leave in the night. He was there when they went to sleep and gone when they woke up. They finally made it back that day, only to find I'd disappeared too. Rice was hysterical by this point and coughing steadily with a massive fever. Her swim apparently hadn't done her any favors, as I'd feared. Kit volunteered to take her into town to get her to the nearest doctor. Of course, I'd disappeared with the only set of keys to the minivan still in my bra, so God knows where they are now. So they had taken Curtis's truck instead. Now, even when Jim can get signal, he says Kit isn't answering his phone. Poor Jim, he's so worried. He's worried about me. He's worried about them. He's worried about Curtis, and that the twins don't seem to care about their boys, and that Cassie doesn't seem to care about what's happening to her brother and girlfriend, just like she didn't seem to care when I was missing. He's worried about the fact that Craig and Jay, since their night in the tree hide, have also been standing around, smiling but emotionless. Mostly, I think, he's worried because he still has hope we're going to live. He just doesn't know how to make that happen. I told him there's no hope, not for any of us. I told him we should have left on the first day, like you said. He shushed me. He seemed to think it was just hysteria, part of my shock, rather than something I know. I think he feels guilty, like it's his fault we've stayed too long. My poor boy. He's already spoken to Alex, the last of us who seems reasonably normal, and we're going to sneak off first thing in the morning. They think that maybe, if we start early and head through the trees to cut off a section of the road, we can be back in town by tomorrow night. I agreed with him because it's what he needs, and because no matter what else is going on, I still love Jim. We're going to leave before dawn. It's not going to work.